What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to JohnnyKpicks. And in this video, I'm going to give you my top UFC prospects and or up-and-comers to watch out for in the year 2023. First things first, please hit that like button. And if you're new to the channel or if you haven't subscribed yet, please hit that subscribe button. And don't forget to turn on those notifications so you don't miss out on any of my new videos or live streams. So last year I did a video like this, and if you didn't get a chance to watch it, no worries. I'm going to go over all of the fighters that I picked last year real quick and tell you guys how they did and how I fared with that pick. All right, so let's start with the women. So my honorable mention was Maria Agapova. Now, not a good pick here. I know she was an honorable mention, but she went 0-2 in 2022. She lost to Miraz by submission and Robertson by submission, and she's not ranked, obviously. So, bad pick there. My number 5 was Cheyenne Vlismas. She was 0-1 in 2022. She lost to Corey McKenna by decision. I'll say this was kind of a bad pick, but she only fought once, and I do think there's still potential there. Number 4 was Casey O'Neill. She was 1-0 in 2022. She beat Roxanne Modafferi by decision, and unfortunately, she did get injured later in the year. So I will consider that a decent pick there, but it's unfortunate that she only could fight once. And also, she is currently ranked number 11. Number 3 was Carol Hosa. She was 1-1 in 2022. She lost to McMahon by decision, and she beat Landsberg by decision. So this one was an okay pick here. I want to see a little bit more improvement with her fighting a little bit better competition, but she is currently ranked number 9 in the division, so you got to give her that. All right, my number 2 pick was Erin Blanchfield. Very good pick. 2-0 in 2022. She beat Aldridge by submission, and she beat McCann by submission as well, and she's currently ranked number 10. So I think the sky's the limit for her, and I do think she'll be fighting for the belt maybe this year at the end of the year if she does win against Santos. If not, very soon, but she's still very young. And my number 1 pick for the women was Manon Fiorot. She was 2-0 in 2022. She beat Maya by decision and Chikagian by decision as well, and she's currently ranked number 1. So that's where she's going to stay. I don't see her winning the championship against Shevchenko. I'll be honest. Good pick by me. All right, so let's jump into the men's fighters here. So honorable mention was Manal Kape. 1-0 in 2022. He beat Dvorak by decision just recently and ranked number 9 right now. So this is a solid honorable mention. I think this was a solid honorable mention. I do see him going up the rankings a little bit more. He started out kind of slow in the UFC, but he's starting to work his way up. Number 10 is Nazardine Imavov, 1-0 in 2022. He beat Buckley by decision, and he's currently ranked number 12. I'm going to give this one right in the middle. I think it's an okay pick here. I want to be a little bit more active. I want to see a little bit more improvements than against better competition. He is fighting Sean Strickland this week, so we'll see what happens here. Number 9, don't think this was a good pick, but I do see potential in him still. David Dvorak, 0-2 in the 2022. He lost to Nicolau by decision and Kopp by decision, but he's still currently ranked 10. I think there's still potential there, but he's just fought really good guys. Number 8, I picked Jack Shore, 1-1 in 2022. He beat Valiev by decision, and he lost to Simone by submission. I'll consider this one an okay pick. He's still got some stuff to work on. Number 7 was Tom Aspinall. I picked 1-1 in 2022. He beat Volkov by submission, and he lost to Blades by technical knockout, which was really an injury. He blew out his knee in like the first 15 seconds, which is unfortunate. But I think he's going to move up those rankings and potentially fight for the championship very soon. Number 6, I had Andre Muniz, 1-0 in 2022. He beat Uriah Hall by decision, which is an okay win, but he is ranked number 11, so I want to see more activity from him. I'll consider this one an okay pick. All right, number 5. I don't know why he's number 5 looking at this hindsight, but Shavkat Rakhmonov, 2-0 in 2022. He beat Harris by knockout and Magny by submission. He's currently ranked number 10. This guy is going to be a champion very, very soon. Give him 2-3 more fights, and he'll be fighting for the belt at the very least. Number 4 I had was Mateus Gamrot, 1-1 in 2022. He beat Arman Sarukian by decision and lost to Dariush pretty convincingly by decision. I will consider this an okay pick just because he did fight very good competition, and technically he beat Armin, which we know he didn't. Number 3 is Adrian Yanez. I picked 1-0 in 2022. He beat Kelly by a vicious knockout in that fight, and he's currently ranked number 13 in the division. I want to see him fight better competition. He's currently fighting Rob Font coming up here in the next couple months, so I want to see that fight, and then we'll see if this is going to be a good pick or not. And number 2, this is a very good one and kind of a no-brainer. Ilia Topuria, 2-0 in 2022. He beat Herbert by knockout. He submitted Mitchell, and he's currently ranked number 9. This guy is going to be a future champion. And number 1, again, no-brainer pick here, Kazmat Chimaev, 2-0 in 2022. He beat Burns by a decision, which was an epic fight. Some people say that Burns won, but it was very, very entertaining. And Holland by submission, which that was a weird put together card and fight there. And he's currently ranked number 3, and I think he will definitely be a potential champion as well. All right, those are the fighters I picked in 2022. I think I did pretty well, but in 2023, I'm going to use the same criteria as I did last year. And that criteria is the fighters cannot be ranked in the top 10. They have to have 4 or less UFC fights under their record. And age and overall records do not apply for any of these fighters on the list. So that's how I did it last year. So I'm going to do it again. So yeah, let's jump right into the women's fighters for 2023 to watch out for. Honorable mention, Piera Rodriguez, 2-0 in the UFC with 2 decisions. So I see some potential in her. She's got good striking, good, decent power. She does have good wrestling and takedowns, but she can be a little sloppy at times with her striking. Her cardio can be a little bit suspect at times, especially if she goes for takedowns a lot, and she can be a little bit low volume too, but I see some potential in her. She hasn't really fought the greatest competition either. She beat Kay Hansen and Sam Hughes, but they were pretty clear decision wins there, so I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt there. But if she can improve her striking a little bit and have a little bit more finishing ability, she might be able to make the top 5 next year. All right, so number 5 here is Melissa Gatto, 2-1 in the UFC with 2 finishes. So I really like Gatto's grappling and submissions. She's very slick on the mat with her transitions and reversals. She's very dangerous off her back. Her striking is solid. It can use some work. And in her 2 UFC wins, they weren't against the greatest competition either, but I will give her credit. She did finish both of them like she should have, so that's always a plus. And her 1 loss was against Tracy Cortez, who's a very good wrestler, and she was being controlled on the mat, and she couldn't really get her submissions off too well. So not going to hold that up against her too much, but if she works on her takedown defense and striking, I think she'll be able to move up those rankings. Number 4 is Corey McKenna, 3-1 in the UFC with 1 finish. So I will admit, I wasn't the greatest Corey McKenna fan, and I was really debating not to put her on this list, but looking at her again and the fights that she did recently, she has improved a lot. She impressed me. She's got very good grappling and takedowns. Her striking can use some work, but she's very small for the division, even though it's strawweight. And she's one of those fighters where I think if there was an atomweight division in the UFC for whatever reason, she would be up in the top 3 because I think she's that good. She can work on her strength. She can get a little bit stronger, I think, but she's got good technique for her takedowns and grappling. So that's how she's going to win most of her fights. And like I said, the one thing that kind of sticks out to me still is the Elise Reed fight where she lost. Just didn't impress me at all there, but she did improve in her last 2 wins, and I will give her the number 4 spot. And number 3 is going to be Tabitha Ritchie for me, 2-1 in the UFC with 2 decisions. So again, another fighter here where I think if there was an atomweight division in the UFC, she would dominate because she's very small for this division. She's a very good wrestler, very good grappler. Her submissions can use a little bit of work. Her striking is okay, but again, she's always going to probably be the smaller fighter here. And she can be hittable at times too against taller and rangier fighters. So that's something she needs to work on. I know she's quick, but she needs to set up her striking to get close to her opponent and set up those wrestling takedowns. Her 2 wins in the UFC were pretty decent. They were decision wins, and her 1 loss was against Manon Fiorot, which was her UFC debut up a weight class. So I'm not holding that against her one bit, but I do see potential in her. Okay, number 2, very very excited for this fighter, Yasmin Hauregui. 2-0 in the UFC with one finish. Like I said, very impressed with her, what I've seen so far. Very technical striking. She pushes forward. She's got very good kicks. She's got finishing ability on the feet, but she can be a little aggressive at times when she pushes forward. She needs to learn how to pick her spots a little bit more so. We haven't really seen her against a grappler yet, and we haven't seen her get taken down or anything, so I can't really judge her how she's going to be there, but I'm sure she can use some improvement because she's going to have to start fighting some grapplers sooner or later. But yeah, I see top 10 potential written all over her. I like what I see, and I can't wait to see her fight again. And my number one prospect to watch out for the women's fighters is Natalia Silva. 2-0 in the UFC with one finish. So I am very, very, very impressed with her. So before her UFC debut, she didn't fight for like 2.5 years, and she came in and had to fight Jasmine Jasudavicius, and she looked amazing. Not to mention, in her last fight, she fought a very good up-and-comer, and she knocked her out with a spinning back kick. But she's got good technical striking. She's got power in her hands, very good kicks, very strong for her size. She's got a very good ground game, good grappling, and also great takedown defense. So a lot of fighters tried to take her down and she would not go down. So she's got very good balance. And yeah, this is the fighter that I would watch out for in 2023 and beyond. I think she could potentially fight for the championship belt in the future. I'm not going to say very soon, but maybe within 3 years. Okay, so that was my top 5 women's fighters to watch out for. So I'm going to give you 10 men's fighters to watch out for. So here we go. Okay, so honorable mentions. I'm going to throw out 2 names for you here because I'm impressed with both these guys, but they only had one win under their belt, and that's Joe Pfeiffer and Raul Rosas Jr. Now, both these guys have high potential. Pfeiffer is a monster. He's got crazy power in his hands. He's got very good wrestling and takedowns, and this guy is just a beast. I want to see him fight a little bit more before I can put him in my top 10 list. We'll see next year. And with Raul, very, very young, but he's got very, very good grappling and submissions. It's crazy how good he is. If he works on his striking a little bit more and improve those grappling skills, I can see him potentially getting in the rankings maybe within the next 2 or 3 years. But I think the UFC is going to go slow on this guy. Probably don't want to force feed him to some killers right away, but I see this guy doing very well in the coming years. All right, so number 10, we're going to start this out with maybe a little bit of controversy, but I got to put him on this list because he does deserve to be on this list at number 10, mind you, Paddy Pimblett. He's 4-0 in the UFC with 3 finishes. So like I said, I know this might be a little controversial. He's got holes in his game and a lot of them, but let's look at the good side of him. Very good grappler with very good submissions, and he does have a very solid chin, as we've seen in his last fight. He was getting hit a lot, but again, let's go to his flaws. He gets hit a lot. His striking can be reckless at times. His takedown defense isn't all that great, and his wrestling can use some work with his takedowns. I will say this now, I don't see him fighting for a championship belt probably ever in his career, but I see top 15 potential in him. But he needs to work on these holes, and if he does, who knows, maybe he can get top 10. I just don't see him fighting for the belt at all in his career, but hey, I've been wrong before. All right, so number 9 is Tatsuro Taira, 2-0 in the UFC with 1 finish. I really like this guy. He just looks very composed when he's out there. He's super young too. He's got good technical striking. His grappling is very good. His submissions are very good. Wrestling, he can work on a little bit with those takedowns. And if he can fine tune his striking a bit more, maybe throw out a little bit more combos and volume out there, I think he can move up those rankings too. Top 10 potential I see, but like I said, very young, so it might be a couple more years. Number 8, Caio Borralho, 3-0 in the UFC with 3 decisions. So this is another guy that has all the tools, I think, to be in the top 10. He's very well-rounded. He's got good technical striking, good kicks. He's got good wrestling and takedowns, very good grappling, and good position controls. But what he needs to clean up for me is he can be hittable at times. He leaves his head up a little bit too much at times. Also, when he does get in good control, whether he's on top or if he takes someone's back, it just seems like he just doesn't know how to get that finish right there. Like he doesn't know how to get the rear naked choke. He doesn't know how to do any like really good submissions to finish the fight. I know he has them, but he just hasn't shown them to me in the fights. That's one thing I want him to work on a little bit. But other than that, I think he can be in the top 10 for sure. He's got all the tools. I just want to see more finishing ability from him. Number 7, Ian Gary, 3-0 in the UFC with 1 finish. Now, this is another fighter where I wasn't super impressed. At first, he had a lot of hype coming in. He looked very, very bad in his UFC debut, but he's turned it around. And in his last fight, he really showed a lot of improvements. Very good technical striking. He's got some sneaky power with his straights. He manages his range very well. He can also strike off his back foot if he's getting pushed back, and he's got pretty solid takedown defense. We haven't really seen him on the ground yet against a very good grappler to take him down, but that's something I do want to see in the future. But if he can work on his striking a little bit more, maybe work on his takedown defense as well, I can see him being in the top 10 for sure. And number 6, Michael Morales, 2-0 in the UFC with 2 finishes. So in the welterweight division, I'm very high on him. He's very well-rounded, very good power in his hands, good striking. He's got good wrestling and grappling with submissions. He's got a crazy reach for his size. I think he's like 6 foot or 6'1", but with a 79-inch reach, which is crazy. And his flaws, he can be hittable at times. He'll leave his head up a little bit too much. But again, he's super young. The tools are all there for him to be a top 10 guy, maybe even top 5. Okay, so number 5 here, he snuck in the top 10 at number 10. I'm still going to put him in there. Dricus du Plessis. 4-0 in the UFC with 3 finishes. So like I said, he snuck in the top 10 after he beat Till, but Till shouldn't have been ranked that high in the first place. So I'm going to give him a pass on this one. Immediately, his flaws are very noticeable. He goes all out in the first round. He drains all of his cardio. He's very hittable, but he's very strong, very good grappler, very good submissions. He's got a very good chin. And even if he is gassed in the second and third rounds, he still does enough to where you think he's going to be able to win that fight. Overall potential, though, I can maybe see him cracking the top 5 in the middleweight division at the moment. But there's some guys coming up, and there's some guys still up at the top where I think he's going to have a trouble with. He's going to really need to improve really quick if he wants to go up in the top 5. So we'll see what happens, but I'm going to put him at 5. All right, number 4, who potentially could be higher than this, but I'm going to put him here. Jack Della Maddalena, 3-0 in the UFC with 3 finishes. So I see tons of potential in him. He's got crazy power, very good boxing. He's got a chin on him. He's got good takedown defense. And he's one of those fighters where it looks like he's only throwing about 75% of his power. But when he lands, it looks like he's landing at 110% because he gets those knockouts really easy. And his straights are very deadly if they land. And you can actually hear them on the broadcast when he lands a straight punch to the face. It makes a crazy noise. He hasn't really fought the greatest competition yet in the UFC. He did have a little bit of trouble in the Ameev fight where he got taken down and almost submitted, but he stayed calm. He got out of that choke, and he ended up finishing him right after that. So got to give him credit for that, and he only can fight the people that are willing to fight him. So there is a fight for him coming up in the next month or two, so we'll see what happens there, but I can see top 5 potential for sure. Will he ever fight for the belt? We'll see. I can see it maybe, but top 5 potential at least. Number 3, Jailton Almeida, 3-0 in the UFC with 3 finishes. So this guy is a monster. I don't know if he's going to be fighting in the heavyweight division for the rest of his career, or if he's going to go down to light heavyweight, or if he's going to flip-flop. But either way, he's very strong. He's got okay striking, but where his bread and butter is on the ground. He's got good wrestling and takedowns, very good grappling, very good submissions. So if he can work on the striking a little bit, I think he'll improve a little bit there. But in the heavyweight division, if he's going to stay there, he's going to steamroll all these guys all the way up to the top 5 with no problem. Now, where he will have some problems is if he starts fighting like Tom Aspinall and Curtis Blades, other wrestlers or grapplers that can do that, because both those guys have the grappling and wrestling, and they also have the striking. We'll see what happens, but I can definitely see top 5 potential in Almeida, but he's going to have to make some improvements before he can get that belt. Number 2, and this could be a no-brainer here. So Muhammad Mokaev, he's currently ranked number 14th, but he's 3-0 in the UFC with 2 finishes. So I'll admit, wouldn't be shocked one bit if he is a champion in the next 2 or 3 years. He's super young, very good wrestler with very good takedowns, very good grappler with very good submissions. Where he lacks a little bit is the striking department. And again, this is another fighter, I think he just got injured his shoulder, but he's looking to come back in the next couple months. So hopefully he can. But again, I see top 10 potential, I see top 5 potential, and I see future champion potential in this guy. And number 1, another no-brainer that made the criteria, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, John, come on, this is easy, but I'm going to do it. Umar Nurmagomedov, currently ranked number 11. He's 3-0 in the UFC with 2 finishes. So again, wouldn't be shocked one bit if this guy becomes a future champion in the next 2 years or so. I think he personally will. He's very well-rounded, very good wrestler, very good grappling with good submissions. His striking with his hands could use a little bit of work, but he's got very good kicks. But yeah, all the tools are there to be a champion, and it never hurts to be related to Khabib. So again, future champion, give it 2 or 3 more years at most. This guy's fighting for a belt and going to be the champion. But all right, guys, those are my up-and-coming fighters to watch out for 2023. I hope everybody enjoyed the video. If you like it, please hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And until next time, happy Fight Night.